The ASUS TUF A15 has long been a staple in the mid-range gaming laptop market, but in 2026, the competition is fiercer than ever. Today, we're stripping away the marketing talk to look at the raw hardware, the thermal performance, and whether the internal architecture actually delivers on the promises of the spec sheet. We are putting the 2026 TUF A15 on the test bench to see if this configuration is a brilliant budget move or a hardware mismatch. And rest assured, this chassis still carries its signature military standard durability, ensuring it survives the physical abuse of a daily commute, accidental bumps, and the rigors of a hybrid workflow without flexing or cracking under pressure. Let's start with the heavy lifter. At the heart of this machine sits the Ryzen 7 8845HS. It's an 8-core, 16-thread powerhouse built on a 4nm process that handles sustained workloads with remarkable efficiency. But the standout feature of this specific configuration is the memory, a massive 32 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM clocked at 5,600 megatransfers per second. In an era where 16 gigabytes is barely scraping by for creative workloads, doubling that to 32 gigabytes completely changes the multitasking dynamic. It means you can keep massive datasets, heavy video timelines, and dozens of browser tabs loaded in RAM simultaneously without Windows frantically paging to the SSD. Speaking of the SSD, let's talk storage configurations. Out of the box, this specific model ships with a 512GB PCIe Gen 4 NVMe drive. In 2026, with modern game installs regularly crossing the 100GB mark, 4K video files eating up space rapidly, 512GB serves as a functional starting point rather than a long-term solution. While ASUS does offer retail configurations with 1TB or 2TB drives right from the factory, the TUF A15 shines for the DIY crowd. You have clear, incredibly easy access to a second Gen 4 M.2 slot. In a market moving towards soldered, unchangeable components, the ability to buy the cheaper 512GB base model and drop in an affordable 2TB secondary drive yourself is a massive win for longevity and budget management. Moving to graphics, the RTX 3050 is the bottleneck on paper, but it's also the most manageable part of this machine. In 1080p gaming benchmarks, you are heavily reliant on NVIDIA's DLSS upscaling to maintain 60 frames per second on high settings in modern titles. However, for productivity and video editing, it's a different story. Because the 3050 utilizes NVIDIA's CUDA architecture and hardware decoding, it chews through H.264 and H.265 video timelines, provided you manage the VRAM. The crucial detail here is how ASUS manages power. Using factory software like Armory Crate can lead to massive background overhead. By utilizing the lightweight community app G-Helper, you can effortlessly toggle between Eco Mode, which physically disconnects the NVIDIA GPU to maximize battery, and Turbo Mode, which pushes maximum wattage to the chip. None of this performance matters if the chassis cooks itself. The TUF series uses a robust heat pipe array paired with dual 83-blade fans that drastically increase internal airflow. Under full synthetic load, the CPU stabilizes at acceptable thermal levels. The fans are aggressive and audible under heavy load, but they effectively prevent thermal throttling. Below the display sits an Aura RGB backlit keyboard, giving you customizable single-zone lighting with excellent key travel that remains highly visible in low-light environments. Moving up to the panel, it's a high-refresh 144Hz adaptive sync display. It handles motion blur quite well and dynamically synchronizes with your GPU to eliminate screen tearing during fast-paced gameplay. Out of the box, however, users should disable AMD's Very Bright feature in the graphics control panel to prevent the system from artificially washing out contrast and color accuracy on battery power. Looking at the I/O, ASUS provides exactly what a workstation needs, with requiring dongles, multiple USB Type-A ports, a Type-C port with display support, hardwired Ethernet, and a dedicated HDMI out. For remote workers, content creators, and streamers, the audio setup features built-in two-way AI noise cancellation. This is an incredibly effective hardware-level filter that scrubs out background noise for both your microphone input and incoming audio streams, keeping voice communications crystal clear. Whether the TUF A15 is right for you comes down to your priorities. If you want to push 4K graphics in the latest AAA games, look at higher-tier series. But if you value military-grade durability, a balanced thermal footprint, and the massive multitasking runway that 32 gigabytes of RAM provides, this is a top-tier choice for 2026. I have linked below and in the description exactly where you can pick up this machine if you're looking to buy one. If you found this technical breakdown helpful, hit the like button and subscribe to Tech Unlocked for more deep dives into hardware optimization. See you in the next one.